Imagine waking up tomorrow with the same 24 hours everyone else has, but instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel in control, focused, and unstoppable. What would you do differently? How would your life change if every day counted toward your dreams instead of slipping by unnoticed? Highly successful people aren't just lucky or smarter than the rest of us. They have habits. Habits that shape their day, sharpen their mind, and ultimately create results that most people only dream of. And the truth is, these habits aren't complicated. They aren't secret formulas locked behind a door. They're simple actions repeated consistently, day after day, that compound into extraordinary outcomes. The first habit is starting with clarity. Every task, every project, every decision begins with understanding your purpose. What is the most meaningful thing you can do today? Successful people know that clarity removes distractions and guides them toward what really matters. The second habit is time mastery. They treat time like the most valuable currency. They don't multitask, they focus. They plan, schedule, and protect their time fiercely. The goal isn't to do more, but to do what matters most. Next is energy management. Productivity isn't about grinding harder, it's about working smarter. They pay attention to their health, sleep, and mental clarity, understanding that energy fuels action, and action fuels results. Fourth is learning relentlessly. They read, observe, reflect, and seek feedback. Every day is an opportunity to improve, to grow, and to become better than they were yesterday. The fifth habit is prioritizing progress over perfection. They understand that waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect idea will only lead to inaction. Success favors those who take consistent steps forward, even if imperfect. Finally, the sixth habit is building meaningful connections. No one achieves greatness alone. They surround themselves with people who inspire, challenge, and support them. Relationships are not distractions, they are accelerators. The essence of productivity isn't in doing more. It's in doing what aligns with your purpose, in the company of those who lift you higher, and in mastering your focus and energy. If you adopt these habits, if you commit to them day after day, you don't just become more productive, you become unstoppable. Remember, productivity isn't a skill, it's a lifestyle. And today, the choice is yours. Continue as you are, or start building the habits that will shape the life you've always imagined. Clarity is the foundation of every successful day, every meaningful achievement, and every life well lived. Without clarity, we drift, reacting to whatever is urgent rather than choosing what is important. We fill our days with noise, distractions, and tasks that may look productive on the surface, but do little to move us closer to our goals. Highly successful people understand this deeply. They know that purpose is not something you stumble upon, but something you actively define, refine, and return to every single day. Clarity is the lens through which all decisions are made, the compass that guides how time, energy, and focus are spent. When you start your day with clarity, you begin with intention. You wake up not to a to-do list dictated by the demands of others, but to a plan rooted in your own priorities and values. You ask yourself, what is the most meaningful thing I can accomplish today? This simple question reshapes your mindset. It filters out distractions, reduces the stress of choice, and aligns your actions with your long-term vision. Clarity doesn't mean you know everything in advance. It means you know what matters most in this moment and direct your energy accordingly. People who lack clarity often chase the wrong goals. They answer emails immediately, attend meetings without purpose, and react to interruptions as if they were emergencies. Each action may seem important at the time, but in reality, it slowly erodes time, energy, and focus. In contrast, individuals with clarity are deliberate. They choose where to invest themselves. They understand that saying no is as crucial as saying yes, that protecting their attention is protecting their future. Every decision, no matter how small, is filtered through the lens of their purpose. Clarity also sharpens your vision of success. When your purpose is clear, distractions lose their power. You are no longer swayed by fleeting trends, other people's expectations, or short-term temptations. Instead, you see your path clearly and walk it with confidence. You recognize opportunities that align with your goals and avoid those that don't. You can prioritize with precision, focusing on the high-impact activities that create real progress. This clarity doesn't just make you more productive, it makes your work meaningful. Each task is no longer a box to check, but a step toward the life you envision. Moreover, clarity is not static, it is dynamic. It grows as you reflect on your actions, refine your goals, and learn from experience. Highly successful people spend time each morning or each week asking themselves hard questions: what matters most? What am I doing that moves me closer to my purpose? What can I eliminate that distracts me? These moments of reflection bring clarity into focus, creating a strong, unwavering guide for every decision that follows. Ultimately, clarity transforms how you experience your day. It turns busyness into intentionality, chaos into order, and effort into meaningful progress. By defining your purpose and focusing on what truly matters, you gain control over your time, energy, and results. You no longer drift through life reacting to circumstances. You act with intention, and every day becomes a step toward the life you are meant to live. Clarity is the starting point of excellence, the spark that lights the fire of productivity, and the invisible force behind every great achievement. Time is the one resource that cannot be earned back once it is spent, yet most people treat it as if it were limitless. They fill their days with endless tasks, reacting to the urgencies of others, answering messages immediately, and trying to juggle multiple things at once. Multitasking feels productive, but it is an illusion. The human brain cannot focus deeply on more than one complex task at a time. Switching constantly between activities drains energy, reduces efficiency, and diminishes the quality of outcomes. Highly successful people understand this, and they approach time differently. They do not let the clock control them. Instead, they control the clock. Mastering time begins with prioritization. Every action we take has a cost: our attention, our energy, and our opportunity to focus on what truly matters. The key is to identify the tasks that create the most significant impact on your goals and dedicate your prime energy hours to them. These are the activities that move the needle, that create momentum in your personal and professional life, that contribute meaningfully to your purpose. Everything else, while it may seem urgent, is secondary. Learning to distinguish between urgent and important is a skill that defines high achievers. They plan their days with intention, placing their most critical work at the top of their list, and protect it from interruptions and distractions. Distractions are the silent killers of productivity. Notifications, social media, unnecessary meetings, and constant context switching fragment focus and steal time without us even noticing. People often believe they are being efficient by multitasking or checking messages between tasks, but this behavior chips away at their effectiveness. Mastering time requires creating boundaries, setting aside blocks of uninterrupted focus, saying no to non-essential demands, and designing an environment that minimizes distractions. Highly successful people treat their attention as sacred because they understand that attention is where time translates into results. Multitasking is another illusion that erodes true productivity. When we attempt to handle multiple tasks simultaneously, our brain is forced to switch rapidly from one cognitive process to another, resulting in slower progress, increased errors, and mental fatigue. Single tasking, by contrast, allows deep focus, creativity, and high-quality output. Those who master time understand that progress is made in concentrated, purposeful bursts, not scattered attempts at doing everything at once. They embrace focused work, knowing that deep engagement produces far more results than constant busyness. Furthermore, mastering time requires reflection and planning. It's not enough to react. Successful people are deliberate. They evaluate how they spend each day, asking which actions create value, which consume energy unnecessarily, and which can be delegated or eliminated entirely. They use tools like prioritized lists, time blocking, and goal-oriented planning, but more importantly, they internalize the mindset that time is their most valuable asset. By mastering time, avoiding distractions, and resisting the temptation to multitask, individuals gain control over their lives. They transform busyness into productivity, stress into focus, and potential into results. Time, once mastered, becomes an ally, a force that allows consistent progress toward meaningful goals. Every hour, every minute, every choice matters. Those who understand this principle do not merely survive, they thrive, turning their limited hours into a legacy of achievement, impact, and fulfillment. Energy is the true currency of productivity. You can have all the time in the world, all the plans and strategies perfectly laid out, but if your energy is low, nothing will get done. Highly successful people understand this deeply. They know that sustained high performance does not come from willpower alone or pushing harder. It comes from managing their energy, physical, mental, and emotional, so they can show up fully every single day. Without energy, even the most brilliant plans remain ideas, never translated into meaningful action. Physical energy is the foundation. Our bodies are not designed for constant stress and endless activity without care. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise are not optional, they are essential. A well-rested body has sharper focus, faster thinking, and better resilience. Healthy nutrition fuels the brain, providing the stability and alertness needed to tackle complex tasks. Movement, even in small amounts, releases endorphins, boosts circulation, and improves mood. Those who manage their energy understand that ignoring the body may create short-term output, but it is unsustainable. Investing in physical well-being is not a luxury. It is a strategy for consistent, high-quality performance. Mental energy is equally critical. The mind, like the body, can be exhausted, cluttered, and distracted. Highly productive people create routines and environments that protect mental clarity. They schedule periods of deep focus, reduce constant interruptions, and take time for reflection and problem solving. Mental energy is cultivated by prioritizing tasks, breaking them into manageable steps, and approaching challenges with intention rather than reaction. When the mind is clear, decisions are faster, creativity flows, and solutions emerge with ease. Neglecting mental energy leads to fatigue, indecision, and unnecessary stress, all of which drain productivity. Emotional energy is often overlooked, but is just as important. Our feelings and emotional state directly influence motivation, resilience, and how we interact with others. Successful individuals invest in emotional well-being by practicing self-awareness, managing stress, and fostering positive relationships. They understand that unresolved stress, negativity, or tension drains energy and limits effectiveness. Activities such as journaling, mindfulness, meditation, or simply spending time with supportive people replenish emotional reserves. Emotional energy fuels passion, focus, and the drive to persevere even when challenges arise. Managing energy is not about rigid routines or perfection. It's about self-awareness and intentional choices. It's recognizing when you are depleted and taking action to recharge before pushing forward. It's understanding your natural rhythms and aligning high energy periods with high-priority tasks. Highly successful people do not wait until exhaustion forces them to stop. They proactively maintain their energy so that they can perform at their best consistently. When you manage your energy across these three dimensions, physical, mental, and emotional, you create a foundation for sustainable success. You become resilient, focused, and capable of handling challenges with clarity and strength. Energy is the fuel that transforms potential into action, ideas into outcomes, and ambition into achievement. Without it, even the best strategies and intentions cannot succeed. By treating energy as your most valuable asset, you not only perform better, you live better, approaching each day with vitality, purpose, and the power to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Learning relentlessly is the engine that drives long-term success. Highly successful people understand that talent alone is never enough. Knowledge, skill, and insight compound over time, and the only way to remain relevant, innovative, and effective is through a commitment to constant growth. This growth is not occasional or accidental, it is deliberate and habitual. It requires curiosity, discipline, and humility, the willingness to recognize that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. Reading is one of the most powerful tools for growth. Books, articles, and thoughtful research expose us to new ideas, different perspectives, and proven strategies. When you dedicate time to reading every day, you expand the range of solutions you can bring to problems and the depth of understanding you can apply to challenges. Highly productive people treat reading not as a passive activity, but as an investment in themselves. They seek knowledge that challenges assumptions, stretches their thinking, and inspires action. Every page turned becomes a building block in the foundation of wisdom and insight that will guide their decisions and actions for years to come. Reflection is equally important in the process of learning. Information alone is not enough. It must be absorbed, processed, and applied. Successful individuals carve out time to pause, think critically about their experiences, and extract lessons from both successes and failures. Reflection allows them to identify patterns, recognize mistakes before they are repeated, and refine their strategies. It is through reflection that knowledge becomes understanding, and understanding becomes actionable wisdom. Without it, learning is superficial, disconnected from reality, and unlikely to produce meaningful results. Feedback is the accelerant that transforms learning into mastery. No one grows in isolation. Seeking feedback from mentors, peers, and even critics provides a mirror that reveals blind spots, strengths, and areas for improvement. Highly effective people actively solicit feedback because they know that outside perspectives illuminate what they may overlook themselves. They embrace constructive criticism not as a threat to ego, but as a roadmap for growth. Feedback helps course correct, sharpen skills, and reinforce behaviors that lead to consistent progress. It is through this cycle of learning, reflecting, and seeking feedback that true improvement occurs. Learning relentlessly is more than a skill, it is a mindset. It is the belief that growth is a lifelong journey, not a destination. It requires curiosity, patience, and the courage to admit when you do not know something. Highly successful people approach each day as an opportunity to learn something new, to refine their thinking, and to expand their capabilities. They understand that knowledge gained today becomes the competitive advantage of tomorrow, and they refuse to let complacency or arrogance limit their potential. Committing to daily growth ensures that you remain adaptable, resilient, and capable of navigating the challenges of an ever-changing world. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results and turns potential into achievement. By reading, reflecting, and seeking feedback consistently, you create a momentum that compounds over time, producing insights, skills, and habits that distinguish you from the majority. Learning relentlessly is not optional for those who aim for excellence. It is the path that leads to mastery, influence, and lasting success. Perfection is one of the greatest obstacles to achievement. Waiting for the right moment, the perfect plan, or flawless conditions can keep people stuck in a state of inaction, watching opportunities pass by while fearing failure or imperfection. Highly successful people understand a simple truth: progress, not perfection, drives results. They know that action, even if imperfect, is far more powerful than endless preparation or hesitation. Each small step taken compounds over time, and momentum grows from the courage to begin rather than the illusion of doing everything flawlessly. Prioritizing progress requires a shift in mindset. It's about valuing forward movement above flawless execution. When you focus on progress, you accept that mistakes are part of the journey, that learning often comes from doing rather than planning, and that imperfection is a natural stage in the growth process. Highly effective people embrace this mindset because they understand that action generates insight, experience, and results, while perfectionism generates frustration, delay, and stagnation. They measure success by the steps taken and the lessons learned along the way, not by the unattainable standard of perfection. Consistency is the secret weapon of progress. Taking regular, deliberate action, even in small increments, builds momentum that cannot be replicated by occasional bursts of effort. Highly successful individuals commit to showing up every day, completing tasks, and pushing forward despite discomfort or uncertainty. They recognize that conditions will never be perfect. There will always be obstacles, distractions, or elements beyond their control. Waiting for a perfect environment only leads to wasted time, missed opportunities, and regret. Progress, by contrast, is achieved by leaning into action, learning from experience, and adjusting along the way. Prioritizing progress also requires resilience. Taking imperfect action exposes you to feedback, failure, and criticism, but these experiences are invaluable. Each mistake reveals gaps to address, strengths to leverage, and new opportunities to pursue. Highly productive people treat these moments not as setbacks, but as stepping stones. They maintain forward motion, understanding that each attempt, regardless of its outcome, brings them closer to their goals. Over time, this approach compounds, creating a trajectory of growth that perfection alone could never produce. Moreover, focusing on progress cultivates confidence. When you act consistently, you see results, no matter how small. Momentum builds, and with it comes clarity, skill, and belief in your ability to achieve more than you imagined. Action fuels motivation, whereas perfectionism often fuels procrastination. By taking steps consistently, highly successful individuals create a feedback loop. Progress builds confidence, confidence encourages action, and action produces more progress. Ultimately, prioritizing progress over perfection is about taking control of your life. It's about recognizing that the path to achievement is built through movement, not hesitation, through courage, not certainty. Each imperfect step is a victory, each lesson learned a milestone, and each day of consistent effort, a foundation for extraordinary results. Those who embrace progress over perfection do not wait for the perfect moment. They create it step by step until what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. No one achieves greatness alone. Every success story, every breakthrough, and every significant accomplishment is built not just on individual effort, but on the people around us. Highly successful people understand the power of meaningful connections and the profound influence the right relationships have on their growth, mindset, and opportunities. Surrounding yourself with supportive, inspiring, and challenging individuals creates an environment that elevates your thinking, pushes you beyond your limits, and holds you accountable to the highest version of yourself. Building meaningful connections starts with intentionality. It is not about accumulating the largest network or collecting names and titles. It's about cultivating relationships that add value, encourage growth, and foster mutual respect. Successful individuals invest time and energy in people who share similar values, aspirations, and standards. They recognize that relationships are a two-way street, requiring both giving and receiving. They support others, celebrate their achievements, and in turn, benefit from wisdom, guidance, and motivation that help them navigate their own journey. Being around the right people shapes behavior, mindset, and habits. Energy is contagious, and the attitudes of those you interact with daily influence your own. Highly productive and motivated individuals intentionally align themselves with people who inspire excellence, challenge complacency, and model the behaviors they want to embody. These connections act as catalysts for growth. They provide feedback, perspective, and encouragement when the journey feels uncertain. They remind you of your potential when self-doubt creeps in and create a culture of accountability that propels you forward. Meaningful connections also expose you to opportunities that you may never find alone. Successful people understand that collaboration expands impact, opens doors, and accelerates learning. Networking without purpose is shallow. Networking with intention, building relationships with people who share a vision or a drive for excellence, creates partnerships, mentorships, and collaborations that multiply results. Every conversation becomes a chance to learn. every interaction a potential turning point, and every shared insight a step toward achieving goals faster and more effectively. Furthermore, strong connections provide emotional resilience. Life and work are full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care about your success offers encouragement and perspective. They celebrate victories, help navigate failures, and remind you of your strengths when you forget them. Highly successful people lean on these relationships not as a crutch, but as a source of strength and motivation that fuels consistent growth. Building meaningful connections requires courage, authenticity, and vulnerability. It means seeking relationships that stretch you, challenge your thinking, and sometimes push you out of your comfort zone. It means letting go of toxic or draining influences that limit your potential and intentionally choosing to spend time with those who uplift, inspire, and empower you. The impact of these connections compounds over time, influencing decisions, habits, and opportunities in ways that individual effort alone cannot achieve. Ultimately, the people you surround yourself with become your mirror and your engine. They accelerate your growth, expand your vision, and elevate your life. Highly successful individuals recognize that their network is not just a collection of contacts. It is a source of wisdom, motivation, and accountability that shapes every step of their journey. By prioritizing meaningful connections, you do not simply improve your chances of success. You transform the way you live, work, and achieve, creating a life that is richer, more impactful, and deeply fulfilling. And so, it all comes down to this. Success is not a result of luck, talent, or fleeting inspiration. It is the product of the habits you cultivate every single day. It is the clarity with which you define your purpose, the discipline with which you master your time, the care with which you manage your energy, the commitment with which you learn relentlessly, the courage with which you choose progress over perfection, and the wisdom with which you build meaningful connections. These habits are not complicated. They do not require extraordinary circumstances. They require intention, consistency, and a willingness to show up, even when it's hard, even when you feel uncertain, even when the world seems to demand otherwise. Each small step taken daily compounds. Each choice you make either moves you closer to your vision or keeps you drifting in mediocrity. The question is simple: which path will you choose? The truth is, the life you dream of is not somewhere in the future. It is created in the actions you take today. Every habit, every decision, every connection, and every effort adds up. It shapes the person you become and the results you achieve. So start now. Start with clarity. Protect your time, nurture your energy, learn without pause, take imperfect action. Surround yourself with those who lift you higher, and remember, greatness is not a destination. It is a practice. It is found in the way you approach your mornings, your work, and your relationships. It is found in your persistence, your focus, and your refusal to settle for less than your potential. The habits you choose today will define the life you live tomorrow. So go forward with intention. Go forward with courage. Go forward knowing that each day, each action, each choice is a step toward the extraordinary life you are capable of creating. Your future is waiting, and it starts with the habits you embrace right now.